Welcome, Aries, to Nice and Blunt Astrology. My name is Adam Riancho. I am your astrologer, and happy Tuesday, aka Mars Day. Those are the days that I will be touching on Aries and Scorpio. And these videos I'm going to do every other week for each sign. So we're going to talk about all of the planetary transits from today, August 8th, through Tuesday, August 22nd. And once we're done giving you my insights, my interpretation of the planetary transits, we will pull some tarot cards as a bit of extra insight into what's going on for the sign of Aries. And just to keep in mind, this is a general reading, but I do specifically target these astrological placements and interpretations for rising signs. So if you are a sun in Aries but have a rising in a different sign, this may not speak to you as specifically, especially when I get into the houses and what that means. That is specifically designated towards the Aries risings. Rising signs are the name of the game for this channel. So you may want to keep a lookout for your other rising sign. But if you are a sun in Aries, this is still in your ballpark. So basically, since July 17th, the general vibe of this current cycle is that the lunar nodes, have shifted, and the north node is in your sign of Aries. So I believe you're being called to step into your authenticity. I mean, that's kind of what we are all being called to do with the Aries North Node, but specifically for you, it's who you believe yourself to be. In that first house, it's definitely having to do with your sense of identity, how you present yourself in the world, and how you view yourself in your mind especially, and how that translates to how others see you. But this also coincides with Saturn and Neptune going to work over many years, especially Neptune. That's been in your 12th house for quite some time. But Saturn from now through 2026, really, all of that 12th house transit has to do with your subconscious, your dreams, how you process life on an internal level in a way that is not really aware to you. The subconscious is very much hidden, definitely submerged. That's why it's the subconscious. It's not that it's a diminished consciousness. If anything, it's like an iceberg where what you don't see that's below the surface is actually way, way more vast and grandiose than what we see above the surface. So this is really where most of our identities lie, and Saturn has to do with a lot of discipline, a lot of hard lessons where things that may not have been working in your subconscious are really going to be retooled, rewired, and Saturn wants us to shine, but the way it gets us to do that is by very, very difficult, very hard lessons. So this may be a difficult overall time period for you. We're still in the early degrees of Saturn and Pisces, and it's currently retrograde at the moment. So it's going to be a while before this really comes to fruition for all of us, but especially for you, this is a very internal type of process. And this will last until January of 2025, where the North Node is in your sign of Aries. But from 2025 to 2026, it's really going to be galvanized when it comes to your subconscious, where the North Node and Saturn will complete their transits in that 12th house. So that's the general vibe of the next 2-3 years. But for the sake of this video, we're really trying to focus on this next upcoming 2 weeks. But that's going to be the theme of, all of the videos that I give you in the coming future on this channel. If you are new and you want to look forward to that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can go through this 12th house transit together. But there's going to be some initial growth when it comes to this cycle that challenges your self-confidence. But I believe this is a challenge that is absolutely welcome to you. Aries is a very competitive sign. You want to win, and you are not afraid of a fight. So this is definitely something that I think you should be excited for, but be a little bit more patient with yourself because it is a longer type of transit. the progress that you're going to make is not going to be immediate. It's going to be over the course of months, if not years. So keep that in mind. I know Aries wants to make a lot of progress quickly, and that can be kind of frustrating. And I think the general theme of this reading is going to have to do with impulse control, because a very important transit right now for you specifically is Mercury and Mars essentially conjunct in your 6th house, and this is activating your sector of health and daily habits. And Virgo is a much more muted energy, especially for your ruling planet of Mars. For that to be in Virgo, not an easy spot for you, Aries, particularly, because you would like things to go much more quickly, especially Mars would like that as well. It's the planet of action, wants to be forward moving. Virgo wants things to be almost perfect, as close to perfect, in order to move and in order for things to get going. So especially when Mars is in Virgo, this is my natal placement for the planet of Mars, so I know this quite well. It really wants the plan to be in order before it makes its move. It wants to know every single step along the way, and it really wants a foolproof type of plan. If the plan has some holes in it, if things are not right, there can be a heavy reluctance to move forward and a bit of a reticence to believe that the plan is actually going to come to fruition if it's not meticulously crafted. So I think you want to have a bit more of a plan ahead. I think something that you might feel during this time is that you might be kind of stuck in first gear. Maybe, you're the metaphor that I kind of view for this transit for you is, imagine there's like a freeway that you want to get on that is going to take you to where you are going, whether you've driven in the past or have gotten on a bus or however you've traveled. Everyone understands the concept of a freeway pretty much. And imagine if you're getting on the off ramp and you're just refusing to put your foot all the way on the gas, and you need to get up to, 65 miles an hour, whatever it is, and your car is just slowly accelerating, kind of staying around 20, 30, 35. And you want to merge, you want to get on the freeway, but that car is just not quite ready to get up to speed. The gears need to shift, and they will shift at the right time, but at least during this middle of the Mars in Virgo transit, I feel like you still might feel like you are in a lower gear than you'd like to be. You'd like to be in 5th, you'd like to be cruising at your optimal speed, definitely much faster, but it is getting up there, it is ramping its way up, probably much slower than you would like it to. So because of that, I think impulse control is very important. You might want to go much faster than things are ready to move, and action can definitely be stalled right now if you move too quickly, because Saturn is opposing these two planets. That can really cause some delays. Saturn is a bitch. If you test Saturn the wrong way, it can really kill your vibe. It can really slow you down. It can really make things very difficult. So be mindful of that. And because these two planets, Mercury and Mars, are in your sector of health, if you challenge that a little bit too much, I think there could be some problems that arise. It's possible that there have been some habits that you've had for a long time that are maybe coming to a head right now and giving you some maybe health issues. I do see them easing up, especially when Mercury is done with its retrograde period, but that is not going to be the case until the beginning of October. At the moment, Mercury is not retrograde, and by the time this 2-week period that I'm talking about is over, it still will not be retrograde, but right now it's in its pre-shadow period, and the themes that are coming up since the 4th, since last Friday, since 4 days ago, through the 3rd of October, that is really when this thing is going to, that's how long this transit's going to last. So especially when I see you 2 weeks from now, we will revisit this Mercury retrograde period, but whatever's going on during these 2 weeks that I'm talking about are really going to be revisited over the course of September, over the next month and a half, as we revisit the Mercury retrograde. And then once that's finally direct, we will cross over this segment of the degrees once again. So be mindful that things are not going to move as quickly as you would like them to. And until we hit October, we're really not going to be out of this Mercury in Virgo period. Bit of a bummer, perhaps, in your mind, but it's all happening for a reason. But if there's one thing I can recommend for you to avoid certain health problems during this period, I think you really need to stretch, Aries. Aries absolutely has to do with motion. I think if you are more athletic, then if, let's say, you want to go for a run, if you're just having like the real big impulse to go for a run, it's not that that is a bad idea. I think you just really need to take the time before you get going to stretch your body. I think you could possibly pull a muscle during this period. You could maybe tweak an ankle, or, just take a wrong step. Maybe your knee doesn't feel too good when it's over. Perhaps that could slow you down as well. So that would be a really important thing for you to do. I think stretching, getting into your body, maybe doing some yoga would be a very, very beneficial practice during this time. So be mindful of that. We don't want to test Saturn. That opposition can really be a bitch. But aside from that, the major placement going on is Venus retrograde in the 5th. It's currently conjunct the Sun. Chiron is actually Lilith is also in there. And I'm not going to speak too much on Lilith, but when it comes to this Venus retrograde, on one hand, I think it may make you very attractive right now. Lots of attention. Kids might be something that is on your mind. The general vibe of the 5th house has to do with creativity in all aspects, and Venus also has to do with love, feminine energy, and also money. So those are really the themes that I think are being highlighted and spotlight for you during this Venus retrograde. In Leo season, it's also trining your sign of Aries, so that's always good energy anytime we're in a fire sign. That is beneficial to you, and that's definitely something to be happy about. But on the other hand, you could also be a little bit extra self-centered. Leo has a bad rap for being a little egotistical, self-centered, and I think that's a very simplistic view of Leo, but especially during this Venus retrograde period, if you're not feeling like you are getting enough attention, you could possibly take a step back and step into the less evolved version of Leo, where you are really concerned with yourself. And that's not really a problem per se, but I think if things are not meeting your standards, it could make you very frustrated. And right now, your standards are going to be extra high. So sometimes they might be a little bit unreasonable expectations for what to expect in the world, but sometimes we have been selling ourselves short, and we really need to reclaim our proper value, our proper sense of self-worth, because we just haven't been getting it appropriately, whether it be from our job, our partner, or maybe you're single right now and you're just tired of it. Maybe you want a little bit more love in your life. That is definitely something that could be spotlit with Venus retrograde. Exes may be coming back. It's also a potential time for you to cheat if you are in a relationship that's a little bit rocky right now. Remember, you want that attention, you want those standards to be met. If it's not coming from your typical proper source, then maybe somebody else is gravitating towards you. Maybe somebody else is trying to get some attention from you. It's possible that you may look elsewhere to fill your needs. And I am not one to tell you if that's the right or wrong thing to do. I think you know what you want long term from your relationship. Maybe you're in much more of a casual setting and it's not really that big of a deal. Both parties know the deal. But perhaps you're in a very committed relationship and you might want kids with this person. It may be something to keep in mind, to avoid, especially in the 5th house. Pregnancy, kids are a bit of a theme. So if that's not something you want, keep that in mind. You might want to take extra precaution in that regard. But I mean, Leo, It's summer. I mean, the fire energy is a little bit extra sexual in general. So, have your fun. I'm not someone who's going to pretend like we need to uh, temper our sexual energy. If you want to step into that, by all means, go and do so. So that is what I have for you, and basically, in the themes of wanting more attention, wherever you feel like you're not getting it, I think you should be vocalizing this, speaking up, and trying to approach it from the more evolved, the more conscientious type of fashion. If we communicate what we need, we will get it, and the people who are meant to provide that for us will always understand. The people who care about us the most are going to be happy to hear this and, adjust accordingly if they really care about you and you feel like you are not getting your needs met. So that is what I have for you. Remember, the major theme right now is impulse control, especially with that Mars in Virgo, opposite Saturn. That is a big, big, important theme, and health issues may be the penalty. So remember to stretch your body. Remember to get in the right sense of mindset, the right type of habits, and eat properly. Make sure you hydrate. It's summertime. The sun is very harsh still, and we can get dehydrated very quickly. That can lead to a lot of irritability, a lot of other problems, and you'd be surprised how many things you can avoid, how many issues you can prevent by simply being hydrated. If water is not your favorite thing, I also recommend coconut water. Very, very nutritious. That's just my personal preference. But with that in mind, try and just think more long term when it comes to your decision making. There's a lot of desire to move quickly, but right now the theme of the transits are telling you to slow down a little bit, make sure that plan is in place, and try and get it as foolproof as possible while Mars is still in Virgo. But aside from that, let's just highlight some of the current transits just so we can visualize what I'm talking about a little bit more. The conjunctions, some dates to keep in mind. The Leo Sun and Venus conjunction will be exact on the 13th and 14th, so a few days from now. Keep that in mind. That's a good time to step into your 5th house energy. Love could be a big theme on the 13th and 14th. But on the 16th through the 18th, the Virgo, Mars, and Mercury conjunction will be closest as it possibly gets, about 3 degrees apart. So that'll be very heightened on that day. Aside from that, we've mentioned the Mercury retrograde in its pre-shadow period. And aside from that, we'll just talk about the moon. The moon today is crossing Jupiter and Uranus. So money might be on your mind a little bit extra, and there's a bit of a boost when it comes to that transit. The moon will also be crossing Sun and Venus on the 15th and 16th, so that is in your 5th house. Keep that in mind. And then right after that, the moon will be crossing Mars and Mercury from the 17th to the 19th. So this kind of all coincides with the new moon in Leo on August 15th and the 16th, and that becomes exact as close to a perfect new moon on Wednesday the 16th specifically. So a week from today, I think, will be a very good time to launch whatever it is that you are trying to manifest. The new moon cycles are always the better times for beginnings. The full moons are a little bit better for endings and kind of the most heightened energy in general. So those are the planetary transits I have for you over the next 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed this first part of the video. And with that in mind, we will head over to part 2 and pull some tarot cards for the sign of Aries. So let's get that going. I will see you on the other side of this cut. All right, so here we are, ready for the tarot reading. My general rules for the tarot reading is if, unless they fall completely reversed, I never read them reversed. Like, they'll either fall perfectly upright or they'll fall, face down. And whenever it's face down, I read it face up, pretty much no matter what. So this will be a tarot reading for the sign of Aries over the course of Tuesday, August 8th through Tuesday, August 22nd. Okay, so we'll go through these cards, and there's one that fell on the ground. I will take you through each of these cards. So, first one in the deck. This is not like the most traditional deck. It's the Rider-Waite Tarot, and there's also 2 extra cards in the deck. So I'll mention this whenever it's revisited, but this is like an extra heightened type of love affair, type of lover's card. And while it doesn't really have a name, I think it's much more of the enamored energy. I think there can be possibly a partner in your life during this period that is really, really demanding a lot of your attention. These 2 people are very much enraptured in their overall energy. But following this, we have the Strength card, the Leo card. So this Leo energy really coming on strong. We mentioned the new moon on the 15th and 16th. I think that is really going to be the most culminating time when it comes to this lover's energy, and I think you're going to really step into your power during this time. Then we had the Star reversed, and the Star is the Aquarius card, so opposite the Strength energy, and I think maybe you will be recharging. There will be a renewed sense of vigor, and I think maybe you have a kind of reticence to step in to this energy. But one thing that is very important is you get some rest, because then we have the 4 of Swords, and I think rest is probably the key. You may have been burning the candle a little bit at both ends. That may have something to do with those health issues that we've mentioned, and that is also something to keep in mind. But then we have the 8 of Cups, the 8 of Cups reversed. So there's a bit of a walking away from something, or at least a hesitancy to do so. You've been building towards, some type of emotional win, some type of big project, something very important to you that means a lot. But I think it may not have been working out as you've hoped. You've really put in a lot of effort into this, but it just may not be the right type of thing. It may be time to walk away, and there is a big reluctance to do so. But whenever I get a Cup card that's reversed, I mean, just think about the law of, gravity, essentially. Like, if you have any type of liquid in a cup and you put it upside down, it's all going to spill out. So these cups, especially this card when it's reversed, I think they're empty, Aries. I think it's really not providing you with the emotional gratification that you're hoping for it. And as much as you keep stacking these cups together, as much as you keep trying to build this pyramid, like that's the general theme of this card. Like, it's a pyramid of cups that's trying to be built, and the base, the foundation is there, but this person just needs to walk away. As emotionally difficult as that might be, I think there might just be a need to cut those losses. But then we have the Justice card. There's also the Libra card, so perhaps there's a Libra in your life that has something to do with this. But in general, I think one thing that is probably a theme in this reversed 8 of Cups here is the lack of equality, lack of fairness, and I think this is what this Justice card is really referring to, a sense of fairness that needs to come forth that you're not getting, or perhaps maybe you're the one who has not treated someone completely fairly. Maybe it's vice versa. I think a little bit more so than I do. I think it's more likely that you are not being treated fairly, and you keep wanting to push forth and escalate this to demand that fair treatment. But I'm not sure it's really coming. I think it's leaving you a little bit lonely, a little extra in the dark. The Hermit card is what we have following that. And, Aries is a very. I think Aries really needs a sense of community. I don't think Aries do too well completely alone. It's not that you can't be alone, but I think all of the Aries that I've known in my life typically are much more social people and definitely have a bit more of a, group that they feel comfortable with and can really shine a little bit. I think Aries is one of the signs that kind of struggles a little bit in that hermit mode. The hermit mode is also that Virgo energy that we were mentioning, and it was a big theme in this. Remember, the impulse control has all to do with that Mars in Virgo. So that's your ruling planet, and that's where it's coming up. I think there is a bit of a step back where you need to isolate yourself and kind of reevaluate. But as you do this, you will understand your inner light. Again, that's what this card kind of symbolizes. The hermit, through their periods of isolation, understand what they bring to the table, and they're able to, establish this inner light and guide their path through true authenticity and a firm sense of value that is not tied to anyone else. The hermit does not need anyone else's approval in order to get things done, in order to feel good about themselves, in order to step into their power. So keep that in mind. You do not need other people's approval in order to understand your sense of value. And I think perhaps that is something that has been a little bit difficult to grapple with, because lastly we have the Five of Swords reversed, and the Five of Swords, when upright, indicates that there has maybe been an interaction that has, left you feeling a little bit disappointed, a little bit hurt. Maybe you are the person who has hurt others. Maybe you are the one who's played a little bit too rough, and because of that, some people have been, stepping away from you, perhaps, like no longer desiring to play. Like, the premise of this is one person has 3 weapons, the other 2 people have completely walked away, and one of them is hunched over, basically crying in the distance, and they've left their weapons behind. The swords always indicate words. I mean, swords and words have the same letters. If you swap the last letter of sword to the end, you get word. So maybe you've had a bit of an argument, but I think especially when it comes up in the reversed position, there is a really this rejection that comes with the Five of Swords, I think, has had a very strong impact on you and made you feel very much so more the people who have been hurt rather than the person who's been inflicting the pain. So that is something that I think is a general conflict that you're dealing with. But I mean, the top of this reading had all to do with that love situation. So I think that's kind of the main theme of the next 2 weeks, where that's the bright, positive light at the end of the tunnel. I think there is some really good vibes coming for you in your sector of love, and that's really going to help you step into your power, really feel confident, and recharge in this star energy. While it is reversed, the star, I mean, the premise of, again, think about there's liquid here and cups. The star is the water bearer, and when it's reversed, they're still being filled with water. Like, this person is, when it's upright, this person is pouring the water into the pond and nourishing the environment with their water. When it's reversed, they are, maybe they have been a little bit diminished, and they are recharging. The water is being pulled almost like a magnet into those cups, into those vessels, for the star to reclaim that, water-bearing perspective, nature of themselves. So I think rest is really the key here. Remember, stretching, keeping that body limber, preventing any health issues that could really slow you down, really make you feel a little bit extra diminished in those in the rest of this period. So we'll just do quick shuffle for any extra cards, and well, it doesn't seem like there's any that want to fly out. There is one that's really sticking out, unlike the rest. So lastly, we have the Seven of Swords, and I think you want to be mindful of any behaviors that are self-sabotaging during this period. I think that is where you need to be a little bit more self-conscious, and while you may think that it's maybe going to inflict a little bit more damage on your enemies, on the people that you are, not trying to help, I think the way that you may be going about it, like this person is holding these swords by the blade, not the hilt. That is definitely not the safer way to do it. If anything, they're going to cut themselves while they do this. So I think that's something you really need to be conscious of. Any self-sabotaging behaviors are really not going to serve you during this time. So that is what I have for you, Aries. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like a personal reading, you can email me at niceandblunt@gmail.com. We can discuss pricing over there. But for now, that's all I have for you. I will see you again 2 weeks from now on Tuesday, August 23rd. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of Leo season. And by the time I see you next, Mercury will probably officially be about to go retrograde. That will be a very interesting time. So that's it for me. My name is Adam Riancho, and for more videos, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching Nice and Blunt Astrology.